Jingy my name's Delta K. I'm a proud Arakwal Bumabin woman. And yeah, my homelands is the Byron Shire area. We're part of the Greater Bundjalung Peoples.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm Janine Barron, and I'm here in England. So, really interesting relationship, as you know, England and Australia. I look forward to coming back to Bundjalung country soon and being with you. So, we're just going to have a short chat today, Delta, about three things. But I'd love you to start with contextualizing this town of Byron Bay a little bit differently for people, both in Australia and globally. It's known as got a tourist destination, but I know your beautiful aunties we've made a historical agreement with the New South Wales government. And so I wondered if you could just offer that lens and a little bit of history for people around it so we can start to look at Byron Bay differently.
Oh, totally. And that's what I like to say to my guests who come on the tours and, want to connect and hear the true story of Byron Bay because it's more than that glossy tourism town. There's an old story to it. And my old ancestor, Bobby, he sat there and watched the British ships arrive. Imagine what Bobby thought.
Mm,
Hmm?
yeah.
And again, our family, like many others around so-called Australia, got pushed out of their traditional homes into the northern area of Byron, into the swamps. And old Bobby and the family, he didn't want to sit in the swamp, so he took the family over to what is now called Arakwal National Park. So since colonisation, we've always lived at Tallow Beach. So, mum and her three sisters used native title to be able to protect their homelands and also to be able to get their traditional campsite back
Mm,
using that legislation. Now, native title is an ugly, divisive mechanism, but it was a way for the four sisters to be able to protect country and to go back to their traditional campsite.
beautiful.
So I'm actually sitting here in my mum's house on her traditional campsite. So these four women um, have just given this incredible pathway forward for us younger ones to continue to look after country
Mm,
and to live on country here.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. And as someone who's lived around the Byron Shire for 30 years, I know your aunties were such a presence always and have very fond memories of them holding space for so many of us. So, yeah, I really honor your aunties and thanks for explaining that. What was an amazing long story, very briefly. So, thank you. Which leads us on to your cultural tours. Here at the GrassTree Fellowship, we've specifically asked you to take our participants on what is known as a cultural tour. Now, my experience of that tour was very visceral. It was very much, I began the tour thinking, oh, this is going to be good. And I think very quickly I was feeling things and I was feeling in relationship to that land very, very differently because you have a very unique way of sharing that. So I knew I wanted you to take our participants. Can you just talk briefly about what that experience is like for you and what your intention is and how that might leave us thinking about nature?
Look, when I started my tours, it was always with what my what my mum and my aunties have always instilled in me. And that was that, using education, that's the way we're going to change the way that people see our culture. And it's also a way to use our customs to be able to invite people in to see through country through our eyes, through our perspective. And a really big part of our customs is welcoming people and treating them like family. Now, that's how Aboriginal people all around Australia, treated our guests who came in to do the right thing.
Mm,
So it's just only natural to invite people to come in and come be part of my family.
mm,
Welcome. You're in our homelands, but there's rules. that you
Yeah.
must adhere to. Just like if I came to your home,
Yeah.
I have to adhere to your rules,
Mm,
and that is respect. And
mm,
respect is number one growing up, and
mm,
respect is how we treat ourselves and each other in this beautiful country that we're walking on. That's how
mm.
simple it is.
Beautiful.
Simple.
And one thing that struck me is the way you used language on the tour, where the way I've learned language is that it means something, right? There's an object and it has a name. But can you talk to us briefly about the way you use language where there's layers of stories around words that you use and how that changes that
Yeah.
relationship to the landscape?
Yeah. So a really big part of growing up is observation. So what's happening around you now?
Mm,
And so we're using these words that describe what's happening on country. And we also have our traditional names of our significant sites. So it's really nice to be able to share the true names of these sites around Byron Bay with our guests because they're quite excited because they've been to Byron Bay a few times and they didn't know that,
mm,
yeah, that place had a true name
mm,
and how sacred it is to our people. Um, and a really big part of that is that, these sites, these traditional names, the language around it. Um, It's been there for thousands of years.
mm,
That is our law. That's our tradition. That's our customs.
mm,
So to be able to share that insight with guests that come to Byron, that this site here,
mm.
this is its name. It's always been known by this,
Yeah,
and this is how we behave around this area.
yes. Now you're
And
touching on
we're
something
being
very,
taught.
sorry to interrupt. You're touching on something really powerful there, which is the word we would use for that is governance, which is that there are ways decisions are made, there are ways you are in
Correct.
relationship people. And that this is what we want to explore at the GrassTree Fellowship. And we thought we're certainly looking at legal routes, we're looking at academic routes. These are important, but we wanted our participants to feel and understand what we can learn from First Nations governance. So could you
Mm.
just speak to us and just keep going with that thread you were on, where how would you explain your governance, your relationship with nature, um, which might be very, very different to how non-Indigenous people think about it?
Well, governance, rules, or traditional law.
Mm,
It's how we behave. It's how we interact with country.
mm,
It's understanding when we're not allowed at a certain place. We have to avoid it. Growing up on the lands of Byron Bay, there were certain areas that I wasn't allowed to go to because I was young. So you have to be patient and wait
mm,
to be able to access certain areas. So that's really important growing up. Um, and it's like you're going through school throughout your whole life because Western schooling, you get told these things, and I suppose by our way of being is that it's just totally different.
yeah.
There's a lot of patience. Uh, there's a lot of rules. Yeah,
So
that's
I love the language you're using here because I asked you about governance and you go to things like listening, patience, observation. But as you
mm,
point out at school, governance means rules, follow, learn,
yeah.
right? So this is, to me, seems like a very radically different paradigms. And what we're wanting to do in the Grass Tree Fellowship is bring those together so that we can
Mm.
start to see if we've learnt one way, how can we possibly develop a relationship with nature differently if we're living through that lens? Um, so I think let's just finish on. I'd just love you to talk more about that, where if we're going to help people have a different sense of different relationship with nature, these skills of observation and patience If you could just talk a little bit more about that and how that might just be a powerful turning point for the whole of humanity potentially.
Just watch an animal. Again, you're observing. I
Mm,
mean, along the coastline, you're always seeing our beautiful hunting birds. Are they, making all this noise? No. They're looking, they're listening, they're quietly hunting.
mm,
And it was beautiful growing up with the elders, and we're being a bit too noisy. The lips, that body language. They're looking up, and you start looking up, and straight away yep, there's the eagle, and he's teaching us to do this.
mhm,
Be silent.
mm. I love that. Well, I really look forward to being with you in person and for everyone else to experience that energy with you. Because I think they're the skills we need in these times. If we're going to be talking about how we make decisions as a society, I think there's a lot to learn from First Nations relationality. So thank you so much, Delta.
Thank you,
Um,
Janine. And it's time we slow down
yeah,
because
yeah,
society's getting very fast, and we're missing out on what's in front of us. Open all these incredible senses. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Beautifully said.
time.
I'm already, you're making me more excited because I know that when we're all standing with you on Bundjalung country with you doing this tour and we're going to be experiencing all these things you've talked about in our bodies, and that's going to really transform how we start to think about governance. So thank you so much, Delta.
Pleasure.
Fantastic. We'll see
Great.
you on Zoom and then we'll see you in person.
Yay. So
Yay.
good. All right.
Fantastic.
So,
Really thrilled.
Nabu, see you soon.
Nabu.
Nabu.